All right, so I'm really excited about this month, and we are talking about cultivating an argue-free home, living in the peace zone today. And so just kind of wanted to go over that. But first of all, I want to pray. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Emma, for being here. I know I'm getting messages from some other people that are trying, and a couple of people had things come up still with their kids' school, but why don't we pray real quick and just ask the Lord to lead our time. I want you to be encouraged. I want your life to be easier, simpler. I want to encourage you and make this journey easier and more uplifting and joyful for you. So I hope that that's what we do this hour. Dear Father, thank you so much. Thank you for Andrea. Thank you for Emma. Thank you for all of the moms who weren't able to be here today. Lord, I just pray that you will bless each one of them. Lord, I just pray that you will strengthen our families. Lord, that you would guide us each step, that you would encourage and strengthen and give wisdom, pour out your wisdom to every mom today, Lord. And I just thank you for this opportunity to walk with these moms, and we dedicate this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so I wanted to just quickly kind of hit some of the high points. So this month we're talking about cultivating an argue-free home. And what we want to do is we want to live in the peace zone. How does that sound to anybody? Raise your hand if peace in the home sounds good. So there's four different things. These are very practical things. One is a get a yes checklist that we put together for our kids. We'll talk more about these things in just a minute. Number two, set for success. What we're going to do is organize areas to make it easy for them to do the right thing. Number three, create a family suggestion box. And number four, buy a timer if needed for younger kids. Like you can use a sand timer if you want, but there are some really cool timers that I'll try to like attach down in like comments, some suggestions. But for young kids, there's a timer where they can literally watch. Wait. This says my laptop's about to die unless I plug it in, and it's plugged in. Just a second. Oh no. Okay, I may have to hop on my other computer. One sec. Okay, actually a child had unplugged what I'm plugged into was not plugged into the wall. So sorry about that. Did not want to lose you. Okay, so let's talk about preparation steps. First, let's talk about setting up our kids for success, because I know we've done some organizing already, but let's talk a little deeper about things that make it easy for them to comply with what we want them to do, right? We want to help them do the right thing. So one thing that we can do is we can actually like put a little sign together that says peace zone and like post it in the family room or wherever people are arguing, and just say, you know what, I've noticed we've had this or that going on. Well, we just all need to understand as a family, this is peace zone. So we're not going to allow this anymore. You're going to need to take it somewhere else or nip it in the bud whenever peace zone. The under the bed shoe box is an easy place to toss shoes and know where they are when it's time to leave the house. So like an under the bed shoebox, what I like to use are those like longer ones that are on rollers. And it's just like they can roll it out, and even when the box is brand new, you just throw away the top. Throw away the top. I know it's so hard to do because it's like, I just bought this, it's brand new. Throw away the top. Hi, Kimberly.
Hey.
And what you want to do is throw away the top, because if there's one more step, if the kids have to lift the lid, they will not put their shoes there, okay? So if we want it to be effective, we throw away the lid. So the under the bed shoebox. We're talking about, Kimberly, preparing our kids for success to do the right thing right now. Another thing, if there's a top bunk, if someone's sleeping on a top bunk, don't use a flat sheet. Don't even try. Just use a fitted sheet. And then what I liked to do was stash a comforter in the closet in a bin that's well defined, like where they can just stuff it in there. They don't even have to fold it. These little guys can get out of bed, stuff it in the bin, and it's contained. Also, sometimes I would even, because beds are so hard to make, I would take that mattress down off the top and put like 3 or 4 sheets on top of each other, like all in a row. And then I just pull off a sheet, like in 2 weeks, pull off a sheet, wash it, put it in the linen closet. Pull off another sheet 2 weeks later, put it in the linen closet when it's clean. And then till I have no sheets left, and then take the whole thing down again and put it in. So it's just like, we're still keeping clean sheets, but we're not losing our minds. Does that make sense? Okay. Then when it comes to toys, keeping them on shelves so they can easily get one thing, get it, put it back. We don't have to touch anything else. The more things that you have to touch or lift or anything, it's harder for the child to put it back. Minimize the toys. We have so typically way too many things out for kids. I realized this when I was moving for the first time since having kids. I had 2 boys, and I packed away, because I wanted it to be show ready, I packed away almost everything. Like maybe 8 toys were out, and I thought, these poor boys, it's going to be so hard. And they had the time of their life playing with those few toys that they weren't playing with before. But I put everything else away into like 4 bins, 4 huge bins in the attic. And then I just started rotating on a like every other month basis, bring one down, and it's like Christmas, and then pack stuff in that bin that has been down and put it away. That helps our kids keep their toys picked up so much better. Keep a basket of books at a lower level and others up on a shelf if you've got little ones. The fewer choices that they have, the better, and it's easier to keep tidy. So maybe even just, 12 to 15 books down in a basket at a time if you've got little ones. Designating a drawer for socks, shirts, all those things, like wherever you want them to put stuff. They're old enough, once they're 2 or 3, they can put their own stuff away, but they need clear direction and maybe a label, maybe a picture on a drawer, but then they can start doing their own stuff like that. And then designating bath towels for accountability. So if you've got one that's always leaving a wet towel on the floor, this is great to have like a color or name or whatever monogrammed. It just keeps accountability. So if you're thinking about, okay, these don't address my child's biggest problem, does anybody have any thoughts on, did I not cover something that you're like, this is something I keep telling my kids to do, but they won't do it? And let's brainstorm and see if we can come up with a way to help them overcome that. Anybody?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm eating soup, sorry.
Okay.
Something that is really annoying at the moment is the kids eating in the family room and leaving their plates or their cups or their bowls and just not taking them all those, feet away into the kitchen. So tonight I had it with one of them, and I made him wash all the dishes because she keeps doing it. So he wasn't very happy because um he's like, well, you could just make me wash my bowl. Why am I having to wash all the dishes? I said, because you won't remember. So I'm hoping that'll have some effect. But yeah, that is really annoying me at the moment.
Good job, Coach Mom. That was exactly what I was going to tell you to do. I was going to say, if you can't remember to just take care of your own thing and wash it or put it in the dishwasher, whatever it is, then we're going to need to do that. I'll need to have you wash whatever dirty dishes there are when I notice that your bowl was left. That's perfect.
Hopefully it works. I'll let you know.
That will work. That will work, but you have to stick with it. Just be
Yeah.
consistent. That will work. Because they're going to realize, oh, it's a lot easier just to do my own thing. And you can just be like, you're not trying to be mean. You're just being like, what a bummer. Like, I'm sorry, and just let them know anybody who leaves their dirty dish out is volunteering to do the rest. So put it that way and say,
before they even do it. Yeah.
Yeah, before, and just say, we're going to have a new rule. I just want to give everyone the heads up because this has been a problem and we can't have this. There's too many people that live in this house. Everyone must care for their own cleaning of their own bowl, whatever they use. That would be great. The other second thing, if the cleaning doesn't work, I would just say they're not allowed
to eat there,
to take it anywhere but sitting at the kitchen table. And then if they still can't get it from the kitchen table, they're not allowed to have the snack that everyone else is having because they can't clean up after themselves until they mature to the point where they can clean up after themselves. Then they will get the snack or whatever. It's going to work. It's going to work. Absolutely. Kimberly, do you have something?
Okay, so we are remote learning at our house right now.
Right.
And we have a little bit of just getting our space back in order. One of my kids is at the dining room table and the other one is in his room at a desk. And he's 4th grade. He's got it. Like, he can handle it. And we can kind of leave his space, at night and come back to it the next day. The dining room table, not so much. I mean, so it's affected us eating meals at the dining room table because right? Like, that was one of my goals before, and we got to where we were eating at the dining room table. Yay. I was so proud.
Yes.
But now we've had a little setback because it's also the classroom. And so he's in 1st grade. He's 6. I expect him to pick up, but it doesn't, there's like crayons on the floor, or it's always like an explosion has happened every single so I don't know if you have any great tips for that.
What I would say is just to talk to him about, this is not the ideal situation. And I'm sorry that you even have to be at home doing school instead of at school with your friends. You're being compassionate about that. And you're like, it's a bummer that you even have to be at the dining room table. And we have to use this as, our family dinner. This is what's best for the family. So here's the deal. We've got to make a change. We've got to have you pack it up and give him some type of a little bin or something that's right there that makes it super easy for him to just pack his stuff and show him how to do it, walk him through it. This is what you're going to do. And if he needs little baggies to put his crayons in or whatever, just go, I understand you've got your stuff, but we need to contain each thing and then stick it in this bin or whatever. And then tell him where to take the bin. Is there a closet? I know you don't want to probably have it sitting right there. Is there somewhere that's kind of hidden behind a couch or a chair or something, but it's closed for him to access in the morning so that he doesn't have to take the whole thing back to his room and then get it back? I would try to give him a space that's close by and just say, after our last class each day, this needs to be done before you, whatever it is, get your snack or go out to play or whatever. We just need to make sure this is done. And like, if it's not done, if I come in and I see it's not done, I understand it's going to be hard to get into this habit, but I'll need to have you stop your play or stop your snack or whatever it is and do that until we get in a habit. And you might even offer him, I realize this is going to be hard, so for the first week, if you do this every single day, I'm going to give you this little toy figurine or whatever he likes, you know, or this giant candy bar of your favorite candy bar, or just, you know, let him know you realize this is not going to be the easiest thing, but you know that he's big enough to do it and he's going to do awesome and he's going to earn that prize or whatever. And then you're just going to go with that mojo because he's going to get it that first week if you offer the prize, you know. And even as you have to stop him and just be very compassionate with how you go, hey, remember, hurry. I want you to, you know, or if you see him start to leave, go, oops, wait, remember, you want to get that up. You want to get it. Don't leave, because I want to give you credit that you put that away because I want you to get that prize, you know. So I think it'll go great when you do that. So does that sound good? Okay. Hey, Donna, good to see you there. All right.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Thanks. Anybody else have something that regarding setting our kids up for success, to do what we need them to do as a family, what we want them to do? Okay, so thinking creatively to try to help equip our kids to overcome problems, help them obey. We want to help them. We want them to know we're on their team. I'm on your side. I realize we got some bad habits here, but these really need to change, and this is why, and I know you can do it, you know? Okay, next we're going to talk about creating a get a yes checklist. So this will save you so much time. This is gold. I don't know how much time this saved me over the 20 years, the last 25 years. But having a list of what needs to be done before they can do what they want to do. So you know how your kids are always coming to you, can I go play with Johnny next door? Or can I play video games? Or can I do whatever? Can I have a snack? Whatever it is. Well, what do you want to make sure that they have done that day? Because I'm telling you, those things don't get done after the fun happens, after the fun starts. These practical things like tidying the room, they do not happen. They will not happen, because then it's too hard. It's too hard. But if you've got the motivation of the little carrot before you, I can go to Johnny's next door after I get these things done. I can get them done quickly. So whatever you want them to do. And if your kids don't read yet, make them into pictures. But one is room clean, and you can have them draw their own pictures. It can be an activity where they make their own, and you're like, draw whatever would show you, would remind you that your room needs to be clean. And then the next one, daily chore done, or you could call it their contribution to the family. That one thing, what is that one thing that they're responsible for? That needs to be done before they get to do the fun stuff. If they have any homework, is that done? Is piano practiced, or do they have an instrument or anything that needs to be practiced on a daily basis? And the last thing I like to include is taking personal belongings from the family areas back to their room. So they have to walk throughout the house, and if they have left anything out, that must be put up before they can go do the fun stuff. So what we tell our kids is, like, this is your way to get a yes. Because first of all, when they come ask for something, you don't have to go through the whole thing. Have you done your job? Have you done this? Have you finished you just say, check your list. Check your list. If you want a yes, just make sure everything on your list is done. You're probably going to get a yes, whatever you're wanting, you know? So it puts all of the list is the bad guy, not you. Just like, hey, I want to give you that yes. As soon as those things on the list are done, like, let me know. Let me know. Are those things done? You can also use this. It really helps for morning routine and evening routine. If you find yourself with a child or two that is needing to be reminded, have you brushed your teeth? Have you washed your face? You know, did you take your bath or whatever it is? You can do this. It works great. You can have 3 lists per child if that's what you need. You've got your morning, just, you know, if you walk in and you see your kid sitting in front of the TV in his PJs watching TV, you're like, oops, wait, did we get the morning list done? Did we get morning routine done? You know, it's like, I'm happy for you to watch TV. Just make sure you get your morning routine done first. So that's the second one, is creating a get a yes checklist. Again, we're trying to be positive. I want to help you get what you want. If you want a yes to go play, if you want a yes to play video games, if you want a yes to watch a video or a TV, just make sure those things on the list are done before you come ask me. And all, you know, you can always refer them to the list if they haven't. They usually haven't checked it yet. I'll just give you a little heads up on that, but that maybe they'll learn to. Third, create a family suggestion box. So this works amazing. Like, we used to call it our tattle box whenever kids are fighting. Like, they can't get along. So-and-so did this to me. So-and-so took that. Da-da-da, mom. You know, and I'd be like, could you please go put that in the tattle box? I'll check on that later, you know? And they would go, and a lot of times they couldn't even write letters yet. And they'd just be like writing this picture, this is what happened. And they just get all their aggression out. They're so mad. And they just, and then by the time it goes in the tattle box, it was over. Like, most of the time they never asked about it again. It's in the moment, but it's giving them a way to direct their need for justice, you know, whatever it is. And you know what? It might be a true thing that needs to be addressed, you know, and that's also good. That's also good for later. So this can be anything. I'll tell you, I haven't put my little sign on it yet, but we're going to start this right now, because I've still got 2 kids at home that argue. And this is ridiculous, because literally one of them is 17. But what I'm going to do, sometimes he doesn't think we're fair about curfew, things like that. This is where you put the appeals. You write out your problem and you give your solution, your proposed solution. This is how you can do this in a respectful way. And we will take a look at these. Or if your brother is calling you bad names, like names that are discouraging, and seriously, like, he thinks it's funny, but she's like getting down about it because she doesn't want to be called this or that, put it in the box and propose, this is the problem. This is how I feel when he says this. And so then we know we need to take this paper to brother and say, look, you may think it's funny. You may think it doesn't really matter. It does matter. Do you owe your sister an apology? And will you change your ways? So it could be a shoebox. It could be anything that that we, you know, just identify it. That's where your things go. It could be something super cute, or it could just be literally an open bowl. I mean, it just, as long as everyone knows where it's at, or a jar, and everyone knows where it's at, and then you allow them to put their concerns in there. And you know what? Do you think most of us respond a little bit better if we feel understood? How many people feel better if you feel understood? If you've got a problem with something, do you think our kids might feel the same way? Do you think this might help them feel understood if they can write or draw a picture of what's bothering them, and we can talk through it and say, I want to hear this. I don't want to be interrupted 50 times in a day, though, to hear so-and-so did this, da-da-da-da-da, you know, this is what needs to happen. So anyway, that's great for sibling conflicts. It's great for problems. I feel blank when blank. This is what I need blank. And I'm going to have some swipe files for you next week. That will be your deliverable of things that you can use with your box. So you can print them off and your kids can just fill in the blanks. One is it's going to be list your problem and then 3 possible solutions. So it's not like it has to be turn out this way, but here's 3 different ways. This teaches our kids to be problem solvers. I mean, there's so many good things about this. And it gives them a place to write out appeals to parents. They offer alternative plans and ideas. This is why my curfew should be extended. And here's why, you know. Okay, so any questions on or any good ideas to add to that for the family suggestion box?
On a practical level, would you tend to like go through the box every evening on your own, or like how often would you go into that box and unravel all the mess?
Only as much as needed. I would think maybe once a week, unless there's
Oh,
like a
okay.
major problem. Honestly, I'm not sure my kids ever once asked me if we checked the tattle box.
Oh, okay.
And we
Because
use it
I was thinking they'd be like, have you checked the box? Have you checked the box?
just try it and see what happens. I'd be
Yeah.
interested to know, because my
Yeah.
kids, like, it's just a heated in the moment type thing. Usually it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But if it is a bad offense, I'm sure they will come and ask. And then when they ask, that's when I would check it and be like, oh yeah, I need to check that. Otherwise, I would just kind of check it once a week. And if no one's talking about it anymore, don't bring it up unless you feel like there is something that really needs to be changed. I think more than anything, it just diffuses everything.
Yeah. It just gives an outlet.
It gives an outlet for them to feel
not you.
understood, for them to express how they're feeling in that moment. And you don't have to hear an hour, when you add it all up, an hour in a day of kids complaining about each other, basically.
Yeah.
And saying, Mom,
Yeah.
he
So
did
do you
this. He hit me. Whatever it is. Go put it in the box.
you say that like kind of every time? Put it in the box.
Yes, every
Is
time.
that just the go-to?
That is the go-to. And you'll know as a mom when you really need to deal with most of the stuff, these siblings.
Yeah.
Just a matter of pecking order, and the older one is being mean to the next younger one.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes, period. That's just how it goes. If your children are not like that, then they're unusual, very unusual. I had 1 out of 5 that was not that way. And he's just got the biggest heart in the world and still does, like he's an adult now. But that's like a God-given gift. I believe most people they're just sinful little kids that, you know, they just start out and they just want to have power over the next one down. I'm not kidding. It's so true. Okay, so then lastly, let's talk about using a timer. We talk about that a lot for ourselves, things like that. Timer, again, one of my very favorite things. This is great when it comes to arguing, to use for sharing games or toys. Like, no worries. You don't need to fight over that, because guess what? She's got 5 minutes with it. And then when that timer rings, you've got 5 minutes. So let her play for her 5 so you get your full 5. Or it might be 10 minutes, or depending on how young they are. The younger ones, you have to kind of go smaller increments. The older they get, it might be 20 or 30 minutes. But like, hey, find something else to do. He can play that game for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then you're going to get the full time, as long as you let him have his time. you know, so that's the kicker. Everyone's always, at least in our family, everyone was willing to, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I want my time. So they were really good about that. Okay, then for conflicts between siblings, oh, this is also a favorite that I still use to this day. Use a timer as arguments pop up. And you just set the timer for a minute, and they already know once you do this a few times, they know what's going on. Set it for a minute and say, if you don't have this figured out by the time the timer goes off, you will have to, and I like to kind of keep it fun, but something that they absolutely do not want to do. Like for my boys, I would usually say, if you're still arguing, when the timer rings, you will go in the front yard, hold hands, skip back and forth in front of our house and sing skip to Malou, my darling, until I say stop. And they would just be like, no one ever had to do it. No one. And then sometimes with the boys, I would be like, if this timer goes off and you've not figured it out in 1 minute, you're going to kiss on the lips. Like they were, I mean, it was over. Whatever was over. I was the enemy at that point. They were best friends. Or if they needed to bond, I sometimes say, you know what? You obviously need some bonding time together. And I do have some jobs that need to be done that you're going to work together on this, because you need to learn to support each other. So here's your exercise. You're going to sweep, he's going to mop, or whatever it is. Like, you're going to get this kitchen floor clean, or whatever it is. Give them bonding time. And don't try to say it. You don't have to get upset. Don't yell. All of these things are to keep us from having to yell, right? Actually, with all of these things, we can keep a smile on and be like, you know what? It sounds like you two really need some bonding time. Here's what needs to be done, you know? And if I feel the need, if I see the need for continued bonding time, then we'll find something else. But I believe that this will probably do the trick in helping you get along. You know, we'll see, but I think this is going to help. So it's just, it puts everything on them, right? And you're just the one that's like, and you know, you can give them the heads up on all this before, you know, and just say, we're going to have some changes. I don't want anyone to be shocked here, but we need to have less arguing in our house. So here's what we're going to do. You're one of these things will happen, you know, like you might be volunteering to do chores together if you cannot get it figured out by the time the timer goes off. Also, you can set the timer. If it goes off, whatever they're fighting over, that toy or that game, whatever it is, that object goes away. It goes into jail, and bail will be required to get it out of jail. And then you just come up with whatever you need done, or, you know, your rooms have to be completely spotless, and you're going to vacuum this room or that. I don't know, whatever you need done, chores or whatever, that bail will be required before you can get that object out of jail. Okay. So does that make sense? Okay, so preparing your family the day before the plans will start. I forgot that I had this part recorded. So this is important, that you communicate with your family about your desire for a more peaceful home. Let them know about the peace zones and recognize the fact that you know this is going to take some focus, considering past bad habits, because we have some bad habits as a family that we really need to work on. And it's my responsibility as a mom to help everyone get some better habits. So then you're going to affirm your belief that with a plan, the right tools, and possible rewards, your family can come together to make this happen, and you can have a peaceful home. And you know what? As much as they might complain about this or that, everyone wants a peaceful home, and every child wants boundaries. They know when they're not doing the right thing, and They want to know that you're going to stop someone else from doing the wrong thing to them if they're getting abused. You know what I mean? Like, everyone feels more safe and secure with Wells. So you're telling them the boundary. This is it. It's going to be peaceful zone. And as much as they're not going to like some of these tactics when you're like, you just volunteered for this, well, they are going to appreciate deep down, whether they know it or not, they are going to have a stronger sense of security from the fact that you are being a strong leader and you're saying this is not acceptable. No. And you're not yelling. You don't need to yell. You've got all the tools in place and it's to your benefit. Sometimes I give my kids a warning when I know I have a lot of little extra jobs. And I'm like, just to give you guys the heads up, I literally have jobs lined up today that I'm hoping you'll volunteer for. I'm just giving you fair warning to be on your best behavior because I really need these things done and I don't have time to do them. So it's up to you. You make the decision. You know, they know I'm fair, whether they sometimes think I am or not. They know I'm fair. Okay, I want to quickly just go over, I gave you 12 scenarios that are literally written out. You might want to post these for referring. So here's some different things. If your child does this, then do this. So if your child throws a fit, then here's what you say. I'm sorry you're upset about this, but throwing a fit in the peace zone is not acceptable. You may go to your room until you're finished. The emphasis is on the action. You're not belittling them. You're not shaming them. I can't believe I told you, don't throw fits. I am so mad. Don't throw a fit. And then you throw a fit over them throwing a fit, right? How often does that happen? That's the first place we go. So you're going to point to the peace zone sign, and then you might even add, you're welcome to drop your complaints in the family suggestion box when you're finished. But now, until you're done, you need to remove yourself and go finish this in your room. Okay, I had one child that took me up on this many, many times. He's so expressive. He's my lion leader. Emma, I know you've got, is it Daniel or wait, which one? Is it
Joe.
Daniel? Who is it?
Joe.
Joe.
Joseph.
Okay. Okay, Joseph. So probably going to have to use this with Joseph. Like, I don't remember how old he is. Okay, Kimberly, I see you've got to go. Thanks so much for coming. We've recorded it, so if you want to come back. So literally, I would just pick him up. I would just try to like take a deep breath because it was so hard not to react. Take a deep breath, pray, and then just be like, you know what? This is the peace zone. You're going to need to finish your fit in your room. We don't allow this out here. It's disrupting the peace. And he's still like going so crazy. He probably didn't even hear this really, but I'm trying to keep my voice low and just speak through it. Even if he's screaming, this is not acceptable. And then just pick him up and move him to his room. And he would have arms and legs like flailing. And I would just set him on his bed and gently close the door. And he would continue to hit his pillow and scream and holler. And it might be 20 more minutes. I would hear him back there. And then he'd come out and he'd be like, I'm done. And it was like, okay, that's great. So just know that there will be some that will take you up on that if they have really strong personalities. But you know what? They appreciate that too. It's like, this is okay. I realize you want to express this, but you're not going to disrupt the whole family over this. Okay, if your child refuses to do what you've asked, then say, take a deep breath. Again, try to stay unemotional. I'm going to do something about this, but not now. Later. Try not to worry though. So this is a good one when it just makes them sweat a bit. This I think, especially when it comes to big acts of disobedience, this is a great one because really a lot of times I want more time to figure out exactly what the consequence will be. And I don't want to get emotional, but I know I'm going to do something. And I do say, this is not acceptable. I am going to do something about this, but not now. We'll talk about it later. And if you want to, and you can do it without being sarcastic, you can try to say, try not to worry though. If they don't look worried, say, try not to worry. If they do look worried, there's no need for that. Okay. And that's from Charles Fay. Charles Fay, I read that on his blog. This is another one that he says that I've been using quite a bit. If your child starts to argue, then go into a robotic mode and say with a smile on repeat, I love you too much to argue. I love you too much to argue. Please, you know, and if you want to add, I'm thinking we've got our suggestion box, right? We could say, I love you too much to argue. Please add your concerns to the suggestions box and I'll look at it later, but I love you too much to argue. Isn't that great? I love that. If your child criticizes a sibling, then you can say, like, please share with us 3 qualities about Christy that you most admire, you know, and then they're like, and they have to be real, because I know I've had kids that try to be like, you know, they try to come up with some roundabout way to give a compliment that it's not really a compliment. No, I need actually 3, you misunderstood, I guess. I need 3 character qualities about this person that you admire. And these have to be true or we're going to keep going. If your child does something wrong, then you can say, you know what, you caused a problem. Let's talk about what can you do to make this right? And that helps them decide on an action that they can do to make things better. Maybe they need to go make an apology. Maybe they need to go clean their sibling's room or do something for them, pack their lunch the next day, or do some act of service to serve the person who they just harmed. If your child shows poor behavior after being on their phone or on video games or whatever it is, direct all the attention. Blame the game. Blame the phone. That is your excuse to take it. Be like, I'm noticing a trend here. It seems that your phone causes you to, whatever it is, have a bad attitude. Your phone, I'm afraid your phone is a real problem. You know, Dad and I have decided you will not have access to your phone for the next 3 days, and we'll see if we can add it back in after 3 days without it affecting your attitude. Do you think that's powerful? Like, just like putting all the emphasis on blame the thing. Just blame the thing. We're trying to stay away from shame. We're trying to stay away from arguing and criticizing, but let's just criticize the thing and go, wait, every time you have this thing in your hand, this seems to happen. That is not good. Oh man, I want to help you with that. Okay, we're gonna do this. All right, if your child slams the door, then just quickly go get a hammer, take out the pegs, and carry the door away for a time. You know what, we're gonna put this, we obviously are having trouble using the door the way that is acceptable. So we're gonna put this away for a little while, and maybe we'll check in a couple of days and see if you can learn to use it correctly. Again, putting the blame on the inanimate object. If your child throws an object, then again, put that object in jail. Bail can be posted by doing some jobs around the home. You know, that object is causing trouble. You know, if it's something that they don't really want, I don't know, you got to go with a different route. But if it's like a toy or something, if your child says, you aren't fair, then one thing you can say is, you're correct. I haven't been fair. In our home, this is not allowed. And I've not been upholding that rule very well. But from now on, I will do my best to uphold that and to be fair to all. So, you know, saying you're right, but I'm going to try to be more fair. And what's fair is that I don't allow this thing. I've said this isn't allowed, so I'm not sure why I haven't followed through with that, but I'm going to try to do a better job. If the child consistently displays a particular shortfall, like disobedience or ingratitude, selfishness, then I love the book. It's called For Instructions in Righteousness. You can find it on Amazon. There are used copies. And as our kids get older, we just have them write and give a verbal report on that sin. There's different things like that book. It's called For Instruction in Righteousness. Basically, they will write out a verse that answers each one of these topics, because in the book, it goes through all of these different things like disobedience. Well, the first section is general information about the sin. So general information about that disobedience, there's probably like 10 to 12 verses. So they have to pick one verse, write that out. And then the next section is what happens or should happen to a person with this quality. Well, the Bible says, here's 10 or 12 verses that say, so they have to pick a verse and say, this should happen to a person that demonstrates this. Then the next section says, what is this sin likened to? And usually it's a lot worse than they think. So then they write out the verse that goes with that. Then stories that illustrate the consequences of this sin. If this continues on, this is what's going to happen. So then they have to pick a verse, write that out. And then there's also the blessing of not being that way. And there's like 10 to 12 verses. They pick the verse that says, here's the blessing of being obedient. And they write that out. And then there's stories that illustrate the blessing of being obedient in the Bible. And here's the story that they pick to share about the blessing of obedience. And then there's a memory verse that must be memorized. So they get to pick their memory verse. So they pick a scripture for each one of these sections, and then they have to make a report to mom and dad before getting something back, like their phone or something they want. You have to basically hold on to that thing until they've made their report. And this is so effective in so many ways, because we know that the Word of God is living and active, and it's powerful. And it literally can bring heart change like nothing else. So I love that idea when they get older. And they have to go through all that trouble who wants to write a report about some sin you've got? I mean, no one wants that. Then if you have jobs that need to be done in the home that day, again, like I said, you can get fair warning on those days to watch their behavior, be extra careful, not to volunteer, because you're looking for helpers. And then if there is consistent disrespect, I would just say go on strike. If you've tried these other things and they're not responding, do the very basics. Child asks, can I go to my friend's house, Mom? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have the energy to do that, because the lack of respect that I'm getting, it's draining me. I would love to help you with that when I'm treated with respect again and I get more energized. Or, Mom, all my clothes are dirty. I have nothing to wear. Oh, I'm sorry. Because of the lack of respect, I didn't have the energy to do your laundry. I would love to help you with that when I'm treated with respect again and can gain the energy that I need. Literally, just go on strike and make it like, if they're complaining about meals all the time, you know what? I would try some other things first, like we've talked about some of these things. And, maybe have them make dinner or things like that. If they still can't get their attitude changed, which I believe it will be changed, but if they can't, start making peanut butter and jelly every single night and serve it on a paper plate. If they can't get their dishes to wash them or whatever, get it to the dishwasher or wash it out and set it in the rack, then sorry, you're just going to start using paper and you're going to start serving the very, very basics every day. And then when they start asking, why are we having, well, I noticed people couldn't get happy about what I was making. And, I was just drained. I didn't have any energy to think of creative things to do. So I just have to go with this one thing. I thought, need to go with this. And then since people can't get their plates up, we're just going to use paper and, whatever it is, put it all back on them. So do you girls think I'm the meanest mom right now? Like literally, our homes can be peaceful places. We have to put our foot down and say, this is what's allowed. If you don't stay within this boundary, you're going to pay. You're going to pay until you can figure it out. And a lot of times when I've got one that wants to argue about stuff, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't have any more. I love you too much to argue, but I don't have any more to say about this. If you don't understand, you're just going to have to watch my actions, think about different things we've done, and you'll have to figure this out. But until you figure it out, this or that's not happening. It puts it all in there. We're raising responsible kids. We're raising kids that feel safe with boundaries. We're raising respectful kids that can, in the future, respect their employers. Is that a problem right now with young people? Yes. It's ridiculous. I could tell you some stories that I know. It's just ridiculous. These teenagers do not know how to respect authority, and they don't understand responsibility, and they think it's all a joke and it's all about them. We have to teach our kids to respect other space, respect, and that they're an important part of our family. And all of those things are going to give them security in the things that we want. And it's going to make our lives so much easier. Because as we do this, as we stop yelling, as we have our little things in place, and we feel so empowered, like, I'm Coach Mom in it here. Like, I'm not piling on the guilt on myself. Like, why can't I get a grip? Why do I keep exploding on my kids? This is how it is. We've thought things through. The Coach Mom way is to pre-plan and let people know expectations, set those, and then you follow through. And it raises responsible kids. And kids that, you know what, they're going to suffer consequences. And the other problem these days is all the moms rescuing their kids when they have important lessons to learn, like from the things that they do wrong. They need to suffer the consequences when they're small things. So that, like, if they lie when they're young, they need to suffer. They need to suffer the consequence. So when they grow up and they are running a business, they're truthful. They're not lying over big things. So it's okay to see our kids suffer a little bit, to learn to do the right thing, to grow up, to honor God. And anyway, I know you girls are doing great. And anybody have any thoughts or questions? And I want to encourage all the newer members that are still working on the basics of getting their areas organized and getting their spaces decluttered. Keep working on that. You can get to this. But getting a handle on your home is the first thing you need to do to empower you to do all these other things that we're going to build on. But any other thoughts? God bless Emma for a good night's sleep and recovery from her tooth extraction.
Thanks, Brenna. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording. Wait a minute.